They can. They can do everything. Do they want to? No. Would that be safe? No. So that's why you have the technical staff, the technicians, all right? Hey y'all, glad you came. I'm Monique. Welcome or welcome back. So today we're going to be talking all things certified pharmacy technician. I'm going to talk about this in a FAQ style video because no one asked me these questions yet. However, these are questions that I had when I was interested in becoming a certified pharmacy technician years and years ago. So let's go ahead and get into it. Question number one, what is a pharmacy technician? So this is a good question because I almost feel like you really don't know what we do. To be honest, it's a lot like my other job, digital marketing. So anyway, pharmacy technicians are vital in pharmacy because you have the pharmacist and you have the technician. There is nothing in between. You have the person making the work and you have the person checking the work. So let me explain what a technician does in a community setting, also known as a retail pharmacy, and what a technician does in a hospital setting, okay? So first off, we will start with a community retail pharmacy technician. What do they do? So they help you. That's the first thing. They are the first point of contact for you as the public when you come pick up your prescription, whether it be drive-through or whether it be you come inside, okay? The first point of contact is usually going to be your pharmacy technician, right? What they do is they take your prescriptions from you. They ask you for vital information in order to actually prepare your prescription correctly. Okay, so they type your prescription. I'm just letting you guys know this. I think some people think technicians don't do a lot. They're cashiers. No. In the retail and community setting, your pharmacy technician is more than your cashier. They are multitasking and they wear multiple hats. They not only take your prescription and drive through, and when you drop it off, they also type your prescription, okay? They call the doctor if something is wrong. They call the insurance company if something is not covered. So they play multiple roles in helping you get the bag in your hand and for you to get your medication. So just know that the next time you go to the pharmacy, she or he is not simply ringing your prescription out. They have done everything from A to Z to get that prescription to you, okay? So you say, well, what does the pharmacist do? The pharmacist's schooling is very long, okay? And their schooling teaches them all the different chemical compounds of the different medications and what not to put together. And they are there to protect you as the public, and they check our work. So there is no work that we do that goes unchecked by a pharmacist. And so when we do type your prescription, when we do scan your prescription, when we do call the physician about your prescription, we have to double check everything with our pharmacist. Now, in the pharmacy, there are only two different roles. There is a pharmacist and a pharmacy technician. It is much different from other professions like registered nursing, to where you might have, a CNA, you might have an LPN, you have an RN, you have an NP. They have all these different sections of nursing. In pharmacy, you have a pharmacist and you have a pharmacy technician. Okay, there are not multiple things within that. You're either a tech or the pharmacist. Okay, and so you might say, well, can't the pharmacist just do everything? Yes, they can. They can do everything. Do they want to? No. Would that be safe? No. So that's why you have the technical staff, the technicians, all right? So it's a very fun job, mainly because, if I can talk here, mainly because you get to do multiple things in one day. I love that about retail community pharmacy. That's where I started. I started in my local community retail pharmacy, like I said, years ago. And that is how I learned my skill sets. That's how I really learned about customer service at a deeper level, because a lot of times when you are helping people in a public setting with their medications, people are coming to you and they are leaving the doctor, they are leaving the hospital, they have just got diagnosed with something that they do not want. They are usually not in a wonderful mood by the time they get to you. So you really have to, in my opinion, to make your job more pleasurable, you need to be nice. You need to have a love for people. If you're going to work in the retail community setting, if you don't like people, you're probably not going to like your job because you talk to people all day long. And We'll get into that in another video, but you know, if you're gonna be working drive-through in the front counter, you're gonna have to know how to interact with people and really have a good attitude and not take stuff personally, guys. You have to understand you're helping sick people. They are not coming to you because they feel good, okay? So that's something that I learned early on, was really how to de-escalate situations and really how to calm people down to the point where I could actually help them, you know, get things that they needed, and to really anticipate what a person was going to be asking or feeling when it came to me telling them they could not receive a medication because of an insurance glitch, right? Or something like that. So you really do get a deeper meaning of customer service, okay? Almost like therapy. The next thing I want to talk about too is hospital pharmacy. So we talked about community and retail pharmacy. I just explained to you how that all worked. Now, hospital pharmacy is really different because at this point you have a different customer base. When you're in community and retail pharmacy, your customer base is the public. But when you are in hospital pharmacy, your customer base is actually the nurses. So it's kind of funny how you switch it up, right? And so you don't have any direct contact with the patients in the hospital rooms. You have direct contact with the nurses and the physicians. And usually as a technician, you're gonna be talking to a nurse first. Usually physicians will talk to pharmacists, and typically all calls will be escalated to the pharmacist in the hospital. And it just depends. It could be little stuff like an actual technical problem with the machine. We can actually go fix that as a technician. But most things requiring medication, you know, advice and different things like that, they're definitely going to be going to the well-trained, well-schooled, knowledgeable pharmacist, okay? So we'll get to the schooling part at the end, okay? All right, so with hospital pharmacy, you do a variety of tasks. You actually are going to grow within your skill set because you're going to be learning how to do intravenous solutions. They're called IVs, okay? And you're going to be learning how to fill Pyxis machines, which is basically machines in which nurses then go pull their medications. There are different ones. I can't even remember, like, I didn't start on Pyxis. I started on something else like Acudose. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know the name of it. But I started on a different machine that held the medications that we actually filled in order for the nurses to pull the medication to actually pass the meds, right? And so, you know, now I have experience on Pyxis. So that being the case, your job is going to be, like I said, you're going to be preparing those IVs. What does that mean? Remember, same thing as retail and community. You do the technical work, and then your work is then checked by your pharmacist, okay? So before anything goes out of the pharmacy, the pharmacist then checks what you made, okay? So the same thing in IV room. It's a bit different because you have a lot of different standards. You have to dress up in PPE. You have to know how to wash your hands. You have to know how to garb up to go into the IV room. You have to actually work with sharp objects, okay? And you have to know a little bit of math. You know, math is your friend in the IV room. So there you have it. A lot of it is muscle memory. Once you do it for about 6 to 8 months, you're going to start learning the different ones that come through, the different recipes, if you will, of medication IVs, and you will get better at it over time. It took me probably, I really don't know, maybe some months, maybe 6 to 8 months. Like I said, it takes you being in the IV room over and over again for you to feel comfortable and for you to get the flow of how you're going to work, okay? And every hospital is different in how they actually set up their IV shifts. So, you know, I can't speak on that, but I can say that if you regularly work the IV shift, or you regularly work that particular segment of the day, then you're going to get better at it with time, okay? You'll build up muscle memory for it. What is muscle memory? Muscle memory is where you do something repeatedly over and over, and literally with your eyes closed, you could then do that task. I mean, to this day, if I were to go back into retail community pharmacy, in my particular pharmacy that I worked at, I could walk in and start working. No problem, because my muscle memory would come back. It remembers where to go and grab a bottle. It remembers where to type. It remembers where to go. Like, your brain is just, it's a beautiful thing to actually to witness, to quit and then come back and then see your muscle memory just come back into action. It just comes back like riding a bike, as they say. Okay. So back to the hospital. So IVs. Okay, the next thing, like I said, you're going to be filling Pyxis machines or whatever machines that your hospital uses. And that's really simple for the most part. You know, there are some things that you'll have to learn, like what not to do, what to do. The biggest thing in hospital pharmacy is learning where those machines are, because once you know where they are, you can then, you know, really navigate your way around the hospital a lot faster. And so those are two big things you're going to be doing, or three big things in pharmacy. Hospital is going to be a bit different. Your customer base is going to be more of registered nurses or, you know, medical staff. And then you're not going to have any direct contact with the patient. As far as I know, like I said, it could be different states and countries, but this is what I know. Okay. And so then the next thing is you're going to be making IVs, which are actually like bags and different things like that for patients. And you're going to be getting that checked by the pharmacist, obviously. And then the other part of that is that you are going to be filling up machines, whatever those machines are called at your facility, for nurses to be able to pull out medications to then help pass their meds, right? So you are really supplying the demand of medications in order for those to go out to the patient. That's like the easiest way for me to explain how pharmacy technicians work within a hospital setting. There's also distribution. There's also call centers. There's also insurance companies. I haven't done those in depth, so I'm not going to speak on those. But if you want to know about that, you can probably look that up. So, I'm going to speak about what I know. And so that's that on that. Now, how do you become a pharmacy technician, right? So I will always see the technicians like at the store I worked at, and I was just like, oh, that looks like a fun job because they wore scrubs and they seemed really important. And so the first thing I did was I asked my manager to move to the pharmacy. I said, hey, I want to work in the pharmacy and see how I like it. I could work there as a cashier. So I wasn't a technician just yet, but I could be a cashier. And so that goes back to me telling you that the people that you see in the pharmacy at the register, most likely they are more than only the cashier. But sometimes if they're just coming back to help, they could only be the cashier, right? I don't want to use the word just, because I also think that cashiers are very important. So anyway, I did cashiering and I was like, yeah, I like it. Yeah, I want to stay. So I started to get trained by the staff. The staff would train me. They would teach me how to do stuff. I learned how to type. I learned how to read prescriptions. I learned medical jargon, that the pharmacy would use, such as like by mouth, BID, just different codes you would use to type and different things like that. So you're gonna learn a little bit of coding, a little bit of pharmacy coding, okay? So that was that. And then I went ahead to take my test. The first test I took, I kind of just went to go take it to see what it was about. And then I actually took it to actually pass it, and I did, and I studied for it and everything like that. So I definitely suggest that you study for your test. If you want to just go and take it just for the fun of it to see what it's like, that's fine. But understand that if you're paying for it, that's a waste of your money. And so for me, thankfully within my job, I was able to get trained on the job. I was able to then go and take the test and pass. So I did not actually do any separate schooling for a pharmacy technician. It was on the job training, and they paid for that. And I did stay with that company for a number of years. And so it just, depends on how you want to do it. There are programs and community colleges for pharmacy technicians. I know people who do that. So if that's what you want to do, that's fine too. Those programs usually last anywhere from months to maybe a year or something like that. You can look that up in your state, in your city. I did not do that. So I got on the job training. Now, I'm trying to think, what else did you know? Oh, yes, income. As far as schooling too. Yeah, so you just heard about the pharmacy technicians. Now the pharmacists. Okay, pharmacists go to school for a long time. Long time. So, anywhere from 4 to maybe 6, maybe 8. I don't know. I don't know really past 6, but I know nowadays they have like clinical pharmacists and stuff like that. So, if you want to learn more about that, you can learn more about that. You can start with, searching how long do pharmacists go to school, or how long do clinical pharmacists go to school. Okay. Do I know people who actually were technicians and then became pharmacists? I don't. What I know, people who were interns and they had to learn how to be a technician and then became a pharmacist. So I did help to train some pharmacists while they were interns in the hospital. That's what I've done in the past. So yeah, there's that. It's funny though, because a lot of people who are technicians do not want to be pharmacists. I don't. But that's just me. So anyway, I like my job as a technician. It's something that you can do off and on. Like as long as medication is a thing, then you're going to have a pharmacy. I'll just put it that way. So there you have it. And that's that on that. So that is that. I'm trying to think. Oh, yes, anything. That was schooling. And then, oh, yes, income. Of course, there is a huge income gap when it comes to pharmacists and pharmacy technicians, okay? Because, like I just told you, the schooling of a pharmacist is very long. And so, I mean, obviously their pay is going to be a lot higher because they have a lot more expenses. They have licenses to keep. They have things to keep up with. We have to pay for our education too, which I'll get to that in a second. But you have to keep up a lot of stuff if you're going to be a pharmacist. And so it is not inexpensive to be a pharmacist. It is expensive. And so that being the case, they do earn a higher salary. Technicians, depending on where you live, it just depends. I don't know. As far as what I know right now, I think technicians start about 16 something per hour, I think. But I don't know how that is everywhere because obviously different states start at different rates. I'm just telling you a base rate from what I know. So 16 and up, we'll say that. So there you have it. You know, like I said, depending on if you're doing distribution, if you're doing hospital, if you're doing retail. In my experience, retail pays less than hospital, but that's my personal experience. That may be different for you. It may be different in different areas. So keep that in mind too, that you might be getting paid a little bit more if you work in a hospital setting because you obviously have more responsibility. So that kind of makes sense, right? So there you have it. Now, next up, that was the income part, okay? And then as far as anything else, I'm trying to think what would be important in the questions that I had. Is there any room for growth? Like I mentioned before, there are technicians and pharmacists. So basically, right now, for what I know, either you're going to be a technician, you're going to be a pharmacist. So there you go. So one of the two, you know. So there you have it. Now, as far as what you can do, I do think there are different like positions in pharmacy. So maybe like a pharmacy manager. Maybe if you work at a call center, you could be like over something. I don't know all those details, but I'm pretty sure there are different roles you could do as a pharmacy technician. So you could, you know, you can do different things. You can move around and kind of see what you can do. But most likely it's going to be retail or hospital. And then other than that, do you wear scrubs? Yes. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to be a technician because I did like scrubs. I thought they were really cute. I have my fig scrubs on right now and my little, you know, work headband. I do not wear makeup to work, you guys. I'm only wearing makeup for this video. Honestly, I can't see how people do that. I can't do it. People do it. I don't do it. But if you are going to be working in a sterile compounding or sterile IV room, you probably would not be able to wear makeup. So just keep that in mind. Or fake nails. So just keep that in mind too. Other than that, I think that is all the questions that I had when I started. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the description section below the video. If you are a technician, hey girl, hey. And it's really funny because I really do think that we don't meet each other. Like, it's funny because I've been a technician for a long time and I can count on my hands the amount of times I've actually met someone within my life circle that was a technician outside of my job, because it's just not something, I don't know, it's weird because I feel like nurses, like, you always know like a lot of nurses, but technicians is like, yeah, I know one. I know one. So there you have it. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys have a peaceful and positive rest of your day, and I will see you on the next upload.